Well, your question is, what's my educational vision? And I would succinctly say it's the belief that we have the world we have because we have the education we have. In other words, we have a very problematic world. We have a world in crisis. And I think the people look at the symptoms and they don't look so much at the root of these problems, which is the human consciousness. And nothing is more determining in the quality of human consciousness than the process of compulsory education. It's increasingly dehumanizing situation that not only does not do its job of educating in the true sense of the word, which is helping human development, individual and social, but it stands in the way, creates many emotional problems. It's almost as, I remember a small boy saying in a book, Italian book I read, something devilish. It's perceived by students as something intrinsically bad. I think objectively it is. It takes children away from their families, it takes away from other opportunities of learning. Of course, there wouldn't be easily a place for them unless in the new alternative system, now in America, they are building what are called learning communities, which are neighborhood sponsored. And they have a place for sports, a place for computers, a place for socializing. These learning centers are not governed by the standard authorities. And some American states permit education, parent-guided or parent-assisted education at home. And actually the basic idea is not parent-assisted. Essentially, the kids are doing their own. They are using the internet with very great ability. They're finding many resources to learn, and they can pass the exams much more easily at their own rhythm and satisfy other interests as well when they can tailor their own education to their own needs. So I think education is very much part of the political and economic aspects of society. Eisenhower coined this word, the military-industrial complex. I think education is an ally of the military-industrial complex. And we think of the military and the industrial as problems, as the oppressors. But we don't think of education as the vital piece that makes people ready to go into that system. The robotization system, it's not education, it's a way of putting people asleep, of killing their creativity, of making them more and more passive and more open to authority and conformity. So I think it's bad business to educate for the workforce and not put attention to educating for life. Otherwise life can take revenge on us. I think for a viable society we need individual human beings that have a better emotional health than the product of today's education. It's a matter of survival that we pay attention not only to reading, writing, and arithmetic, but to true culture, which is cultivation, growth, to the mind. Just like in the New Testament, Jesus says, heed the kingdom before everything else, and everything else will fall into place. Everything will take care of itself if you give priority to the kingdom of God that is in our hearts. So in the same way we can say, if you pay attention to the mind, to the depth of consciousness, many things will fall into place. It's the best inversion we can do for a collective predicament. And can it be done? I think it can be done because I have a way of doing it. Edgar Morin was appointed by the French government, was put in charge of reforming French education, and after 2 years had to give up. The institution was too refractory to change. But he was working from concepts. He was an intellectual, even though a very open-minded, the father of complexity science. But what he had to offer is curriculum design mostly. What I have to offer is a deep impact on the mind of teachers. So these teachers become more humanized, and a person who is more human is immediately more channel for the expression of values. We need people to have an ability to solidarity. We need people to have a capacity to relate, an interest in others. We need people to have an ability to enjoy. We need teachers to be truly concerned with the happiness of students. That's almost outside the culture of education. The education bureaucracy has structured things so that certain things are irrelevant. Happiness is irrelevant. So I have a way of working with teachers to give teachers that sufficiently deep experience of transformation that makes them into teachers of a different degree, let's say. Not only people who know their subject matter. And it's a long experience. I've been experimenting with groups in some 40 years. I cannot say I am presenting hypotheses or abstract proposals. I have something that works year after year, with thousands of people have gone through it, and practically everybody who has gone through SAT says my life was before SAT and after SAT. I don't know that there is anything so efficient in making a dent in a person's attitude to life, giving a people an orientation of, like a North Pole, what's the direction of growth, and what's the direction, what needs to be left behind, what's obsolete. The people are more lucid after this, and they can also convey some of this. It's very brief. It's a 5-day introduction to any type psychology. That's the door to SAT. Then the first year, it's 10 days. The next module is 10 days. It contains Buddhist meditation and Enneagram-related work on personality insight and improving of cleaning relationships. It contains a brand of therapeutic drama that emerged in SAT. It's a kind of emerging culture that gets enriched little by little with the contributions of different collaborators who come from the area of theater and do SAT, and then different synthesis emerges between the drama experience and Gestalt and Enneagram. And there's a way of teaching people to become therapists, which is, I call it this therapy laboratory that I have developed, which I think is a very original and also a process where people go directly to what they need to practice and confront, authentic movement, and so forth. The blueprint is the fourth way blueprint, the Gurdjieff inheritance, which is the belief and working simultaneously in the world of action, the world of feeling, in the world of thought, and then the fourth level, which is awareness in itself, the training of awareness. Mostly I do that in Buddhist meditation, which is not just awareness to see what is happening in the here and now, but awareness that can aspire to knowing itself, to know the deeper self. So this it's a very full, and it would seem too ambitious to do in a short time, but in fact it's a dynamite cocktail, because it's very well done. So people come out jubilant. So I started doing it with seekers. I went on with professionals of therapy. Now I'm doing it with educators. I think that my greater challenge is ahead, doing it with the politicians of education, doing it with education administrators. I've had one group of that kind in Brazil, and it has been the most difficult group in my whole life. I never met a group that so much behaved like small children in a classroom, not interested in what I was presenting, arrogantly thinking they knew it all beforehand, not interested in developing themselves or serving their purpose, only interested in promotion, in coming so it would be noticed that they volunteered, getting an extra dot, get an extra point in the curriculum. Very difficult. I think there's a rotten layer of people that are more in need of this at the top of the chain of decisions in education. And that's an experience I have little of right now. But I think it can be handled if we put together administrators with teachers who are in the classroom and with parents, because parents have to be brought in. And working with parents and the community is a vital part of any teacher that understands his or her job.